Okay, so in this section we're going to take a look at installing Identity Server into a new project we're going to create for that purpose. And if we go and take a look briefly at the documentation, now Identity Server up to Identity Server 4 used to be an open source project and was free for anybody to use. And the guys who made Identity Server were relying on sponsorship and various other avenues because this became a pretty much full-time project for them. As I'm sure you'd understand, that building something like this does require significant development effort. So after Identity Server 4, they've changed it to be a commercial product now. And if we take a look at the products and Identity Server, then we can take a look at the pricing for this and the standard pricing they have. The starter edition, minimum $1,500 per year. The business edition, minimum $5,000 per year. And the Enterprise Edition, minimum of $12,000 per year, or maximum and minimum, I should say, because this is the solution that offers all of its features and can be used across multiple different servers and projects and applications, and has support for unlimited clients. Now, we don't need a license for what we're doing here. If we take a look down in this documentation, then we have the free Community Edition. And if we take a look further down here, then it tells us that we do not need a license for evaluation, development, test environments, or personal projects. Simply ignore the startup warning message. It will not constrain your application in any way. So you may see warnings every now and again saying that, hey, this hasn't been licensed, but we don't need to worry about that for what we're doing on this training course. So let's take a brief look at the documentation. The documentation is quite large. There's many moving parts with Identity Server. But we're going to take a look in the quick starts here. And inside the overview, first of all, we're going to need to install the Identity Server templates from Duende. And this gives us a good starting point for what we're going to do. Now, Identity Server itself doesn't have support for storing users, but it does add support for adding ASP.NET Identity, which uses Entity Framework and creates a user store for us to use, and there'll be several tables related to users, roles, claims inside our Identity Server where our users are going to be stored, and we're going to use one of those templates that has support for ASP.NET Identity, and of course Entity Framework. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and install those templates so we have access to them. So I'm just going to copy this command, .NET new -- install Duende Identity Server templates, and I'm going to head across to VS Code, open up my terminal, just clear this particular screen, and it doesn't matter where we do this, but I'm just going to do it here at the solution level and run that command to go ahead and install this. And it tells us that .NET new install is deprecated, and we can just use .NET new install instead. Okay, that's fine. And I'm sure Duende will update their documentation in due course to correct that. But this command works for me just now. And it tells us that I've already got this installed, so that technically did nothing for me. But if you did not have that installed, you've now got 6 extra templates you can use to create a particular project. Now, the one that we're interested in is the one that comes with ASP.NET Core Identity. So we're going to create a project with this short name, ISASP ID, and we're going to use that to create our new Identity Server project. So I'm going to clear this screen, and I'm going to say .NET new, and we need to use ISASP ID, and we're going to output this into a new folder. So it's going to be once again inside the source directory, and I'm just going to call this one Identity Service and press return. Now it's going to ask us if we want to run a seed method to seed a couple of users into our database. We're going to do this a slightly different way, so I'm going to say no to this and press return. And now we have our new project created. And just so it's easier to manage, I'm also going to add this to our solution so that we can see our Identity Service in our list of projects inside Solution Explorer. So I'm just going to say .NET SLN add and say source and Identity Service. And now we have this available. And what we'll take a look at next is what's going on inside here, and we'll make a few configuration changes to this project as well.